Well, I've been making Non-League to Legend for many, many years now, but it is still possible for us to get series firsts, and we've got one of those for you today. For the first time ever in Non-League to Legend, we're heading to Italy. I am the new manager of Juventus. Exciting times, but even more exciting than that, because I've only got room for 4 clubs on the intro video, we can finally remove Spurs, which, I mean, come on now, what a time to be alive. Hello and welcome to Club 5, Part 1 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have a look around new club Juventus. As you can see, I am the new Juventus manager. Juventus FC hire Chapman in a move which is sure to spark plenty. It always sparks plenty of debate when I move clubs, but I've left Barcelona to join Juventus with a record so far in my career: 300 wins, 99 draws, and 130 defeats. I've also won 2 league titles and 5 cups. I mean, I feel like that both undersells and oversells the career so far. If you are new to the series at this point, this is our 4th club. We started at Peterborough Sports. We then went to Preston, Tottenham, Barcelona. The 2 league titles we've won are La Liga last season in Spain and the National League North with Peterborough Sports. The 5 cups we've won, though, include 2 Champions Leagues. We won the Champions League with both Spurs and Barcelona. So to trivialise that as 5 cups seems a little harsh as far as I'm concerned. Graham Potter was considered to be the favourite for the job. Well, I put him in his place after he messed up the finances at Barcelona. He was my predecessor at Barcelona, and ultimately the financial mess Graham Potter created is why we had to move on, because I didn't want to clean up his mess. I am now 50 in game, and I've accumulated 10 years of experience with the likes of Barcelona and Tottenham Hotspur. I prefer to use a 4-3-3 DM wide formation, which is interesting because we used that at Barcelona, but at Tottenham and Preston, we used a 4-2-3-1 formation. And at Peterborough Sports, we used a variety of different formations. It was a lot of trying to figure out what we were going to do in the save. So I would say I've spent more time in a 4-2-3-1 than a 4-3-3, but who am I to argue with the game? And there you go. We finally do mention I lifted the Champions League with Barcelona in 2031. I think they should probably mention I lifted the Champions League 2 years in a row with 2 different clubs, which I don't know that any other manager has ever done before. And my chat, not my chat, this isn't Twitch. You should come and watch me on Twitch tonight, though. That's a fun place to hang out. But the comments here on YouTube did mention, I haven't fact-checked this, so it could be nonsense. No manager has ever won the Champions League with 3 different clubs. So no pressure, Juventus. We'd like to win the Champions League here as well, please. So this is me being welcomed in. The media think we're going to, or predict us to finish 3rd in the league. We are a long way behind Inter, who won the league at an absolute canter last year, but we are rich. We haven't looked at the club finances yet, but the fact we're described as rich suggests that any shenanigans that may or may not have been involving Juventus in real life look like they've been resolved 10 years in the future. We have a very healthy transfer budget, a very healthy wage budget, and should theoretically be able to set ourselves up to push on and succeed in this save. One thing that is surprising me, with us being 10 years in the future, is how few of this starting 11 are new gens. I mean, they are all recognisable faces. My boy Anal is here. Oh, Anal's here, everybody. That is a wonderful thing. But there's a lot of players who actually play, or at least a couple. My Italian football knowledge isn't great, but I know that Vlahovic, for example, is at Juventus in real life. Bremer is Locatelli, Chiesa. There's a few of these that are at Juventus in real life. So that's quite surprising. And this is what the board want from me. They want me to play entertaining, defensively solid football. All right. They also want me to play high tempo possession football. So basically, I've asked the board what kind of football they'd like me to play, and they have replied, yes. They also want me to make the most of set pieces, which seems impossible to do in FM23, but also doesn't really seem to matter. Barcelona wanted that, and we scored lots of set pieces, and they were still unhappy, and it still didn't matter. They want me to maintain the club's status as the most reputable team in Italy, which is easier said than done for a team that finished 4th last year, about 20 points behind Inter. Work within the wage budget, maintain the best youth system in the country, develop that into the best youth system in the world whilst growing the club's reputation. So Big focus on youth development is what they're looking for. That's emphasized again by the fact they don't want long contracts for old men. We're not even in the Champions League. Did we finish fourth? Well, I thought we were fourth. Were we even lower than... We'll check in a minute. They want me to reach the latter stages of the Europa League, challenge for the Coppa Italia, do Fanta sponsor the Coppa Italia? I love Italy already. And qualify for the Champions League. And then next year, they're looking for me to win Serie A and the Coppa Italia, and then just start dominating Italy again from there. The supporters are looking for me to sign Italian players, play defensively solid, high-tempo football, so less instruction. Maybe we focus more towards defensively solid, high-tempo. We'll focus towards I'm not defending. Defending's for cowards. And they want us to finish above Napoli, finish above Roma. We need to put the name fix on so that we don't have Roma. We'll get that sorted before the next episode. Napoli is fixed because we had the original one on, but that one is from the winter update. We'll fix that. If it's fixed, it must be fixable mid-save. It broke mid-save. And maintain a high reputation in the Inter. And the fans do want me to win Serie A this season, which is handy. I don't want a press conference, and that is all good. So we will have a look at the squad, the club finances, all that stuff in a moment, but it wouldn't be a new club in non-league to legend without us first figuring out where we're going to live, which of course means a visit to this non-specific mortgage calculator. If they want me to name the name of their bank, they need to sponsor me. We've been pushing them for many years. Don't say their name in the comments. They need to throw some money my way if they want me to carry on promoting them. So this generic non-specific mortgage calculator based on my salary of £74,000 a week indicates that I could borrow £18 million, which I guess that should be plenty, shouldn't it? And it seems it really is plenty, because looking on Rightmove, I know there's probably going to be better places to buy property in Turin if you're a local, but for me, as an outsider looking in who doesn't speak a huge amount of Italian, sorting by highest price, the most expensive property is only €6.5 million. Only, he says. I'm a very wealthy football manager. And we don't want to live in an apartment, though, so we'll look at this next one down. I could live in a villa, a €5 million villa. Let's have a little look at this. How close to Turin is it? I can't even see Turin on the map. I assume, it'll be fine. It says it's in Turin, Piedmont, in Turin. There's a swing in the garden. That's got to be a good thing. Look at all they've already got a lot of chairs just hanging around outside. Of course, as we all know, the key to wealth, the sign of a wealthy person, is the number of chairs that they've got. And there's one there, 2 or 3, 4 there, maybe, 1 there, swings of chairs. There's more chairs here, more chairs over there. We've not even gone in yet. And there's chairs for days. We've got a lovely little balcony situation, a little dungeon there, chairs outside the dungeon, so you can look at the prisoners from your little... what is that? Is that a dungeon? I hope that's not a dungeon. We've got a swimming pool, absolutely full of chairs, though. Oh, look at that. Isn't it beautiful? We don't even need to go inside. Get rid of these neighbours, unless that's a granny annex. That can be knocked down. I'll buy that as well. I don't want anyone overlooking my beautiful garden, but this will do. Can we go inside? Can we go inside, please? Is it just a husk of a house inside? Please, can we go inside? Yeah, I get it. The outside's... Why are we looking at... If that's the one we're buying, I'm fuming. No? Logs outside. Do we get to go... here we go. We're in the conservatory, which seems to have some kind of weed infestation problem we'll have to deal with. Okay, now we're in. The artwork's questionable. But we've got somewhere to put our umbrellas, which is handy. A €5 million house with actual chairs pointing at an actual telly is rarer than you would think, based on... What is that on the floor? Little viewing platform for the dungeon below, apparently. I am alarmed. But it looks nice enough. Inside, lots and lots of chairs, big old kitchen, chandelier. Love a chandelier. You could put a lick of paint on this cabinet. Goodness me. I get you're trying to look rustic, but goodness me. Put some gloss on that, for goodness sake. Right, let's have there you go. We've got a little staircase heading up to the piano and circular table room, where we sit on a drum stool. You've got a €5 million house. What is that? I am filling that with Apple Tango. I don't drink alcohol, so bin all that off. If that keeps my Apple Tango cool, I'll be absolutely delighted. not even put them on the wall yet, which I guess is nice. Maintain the integrity of my plasterboard. And then bedroom, fancy stairs, shoe room. Yep. And I mean, this will do. This will do very nicely. Bath in the middle of the room, another sign of wealth. If your bath doesn't touch the walls, I hear people talk about, well, if your sofa doesn't touch the wall of your living room, then you're well off. Balls to that. If your bath doesn't touch the walls, you're well off. And look at me, miss. There's an oven in here as well. Magic. We'll have this one, please. So now we know where we're living. Let's have a look to see what we're going to be working with here. First thing I'm going to do is have a look just how old this squad is, because there were lots of real-life players in there. And yes, as expected, they're quite old. The average, I mean, the halfway point of the age of the first team squad is that sort of 29, 30 boundary. So there's a lot of players who are going to be getting to the point where they're ready to be replaced. I mean, Julian Alvarez is an obvious one initially. We know he's very, very good in Football Manager. The fact he played for Leicester means maybe he's not the best example of a Julian Alvarez we could ever get. But also the fact that he's only 3 stars of 32, turns 33 this season, suggests this is a man in decline who we probably don't want to be relying on. Vlahovic at 32 as well. Looks like he's still a real top-level striker with those 4.5 stars and has a fantastic goal-scoring record. Goodness me, but that's a man whose goals are going to need replacing over the next year or two. But, I mean, he looks like... I'm not an attribute guy, but physically, I think this guy's probably good for another few years yet. We saw when we were managing Spurs, we had Harry Kane at like 37, 38 years old. So I think we can probably make do with Vlahovic as our striker. I mean, he's got a decent international goal-scoring record as well. But then we start to get a little bit older. There's Anal. Love Anal from my Keverton team in the network game last year. Huge goal threat from set pieces. Starts at Sheffield United. Oh, wow, he was at Barcelona before me as well. He's basically following me around just a few years before me, which is, I mean, it's lovely for Anal to turn up, get the new city ready for me. Forget that house. I'm gonna sleep on his floor. It's gonna be lovely. And then the really old ones, Locatelli at 34. I knew he's at Juventus in real life. Chiesa, I knew. See, I know all about Italian football. And then Bremer as well, who, at 35, again, still doesn't look too shabby, does he? Still an elite centre-back, still playing week in, week out. This is, it's not disastrous, this squad that we've got here. There's a couple of decent young players as well. Pasquale Maggioni, who is a right back who can also play centre back, and again physically wonderful stuff. He's wanted by Napoli, but obviously we're not going to let him go because he is 5-star potential and looks awesome. Not a huge number of other promising players in the first team squad currently. We've got Ricardo Fabris, who's 23 and already got 10 caps for Italy, but weirdly hasn't played a game for Juventus in 3 years. Has he had a horrific injury? Nope. I don't understand. I don't know why they're not playing this guy. We'll figure that out. We'll solve that problem. That's a weird one. And then, not really much else. We got anything in the development centre? Because if I don't look, everyone will say in the comments for the next several days, Kev, look in the development centre. I always do. If I don't show you, it's usually because there's nothing any good in there. We've got a 24-year-old in here, which is a little bit odd. He's the highest potential one, but only 4 stars of potential. If this is the best youth system in Italy and trying to become the best youth system in the world, there is work that needs to be done here, it seems. Giovanni Cortinovis is the best youngster in our youth academy, but he's only 15 years old. So it's going to be a while before we see him. We've got no one else with 5 stars of potential. So again, question just how good this youth setup is currently, or it could just be an indication of just how good Vlahovic is. Everyone's being measured against his 4.5 stars of current ability, and presumably he's one of the best players in the entire league. If we have a look at Serie A on the season preview, there he is as the striker of the Dream 11 and the second best player in the league behind only this guy, Vitor Roque, who is at Napoli. And he looks ridiculously good as well. So I guess we have to take some of those 4-star potentials with a pinch of salt. We've got one of the best players in the world who's driving down everyone else's star ratings. Sabolazai is the other player of ours who is in the Dream 11. So another chap we probably need to be looking to build around. He's been consistently very good in this Juventus midfield for a number of years. So the last thing I just want to do on the team before we have a look at the rest of the club, the finances, and come up with a plan is just have a quick look to see what we might do tactics-wise. I did a video on how I look at picking a new tactic for a new club recently when I joined Barcelona. So if you want to see this process in more detail, go check out that video. But basically, I'm having a look to see who my best players are, what positions they play, and kind of using that as a structure for the kind of system we're likely to use. So we've only really got one striker who's any good in Vlahovic. So we're probably playing a one-striker system. You have to go a long way down to find the next best. It's Alvarez. We're already kind of writing him off. And realistically, he'll probably play in the wide areas for us anyway. And there really isn't anybody else. We probably need to be looking to bring in a striker as a matter of urgency. We've got two 32-year-olds, one of which we don't want to play, and nothing else anywhere within the club. So that's already an area for transfers we're probably going to be looking at. You've then got Chiesa on the left wing, Bremer and Ainul as good, high-quality centre-backs. And you've also got this guy, Paulo Andre Leone, who is looking half decent as well. 23 caps for Brazil at 24 years old. Another one who came through or passed through Barcelona before I arrived. But I'm never going to do a 3 at the back system. I'm just not a pervert. So I'm thinking really at 24, he's more of a long-term replacement for one of these guys as they get to the point where we're perhaps not going to use them anymore. So less of a priority to go out and find a centre-back. We've then got a couple of decent left-backs. We've got Pedro Porro as a good attacking right-back option, so we can really have some fullbacks that are bombing on, decent fullbacks on each side. But we don't really have much in the way of central midfielders or attacking midfielders or defensive midfielders. Midfield is very lacking. I mean, we could easily do a 4-3-3, a 4-2-3-1. I think either of those would work. Let's just quickly slap one in. So we've been doing a vertical tiki-taka 4-3-3. So let's just stick that in. We'll also stick what we did at Tottenham, which was a 4-2-3-1 gegenpress, where we didn't play with defensive midfielders because I'm not a monster. But now we've got those in, we can look at the squad planner. So based on the 4-3-3 and the squad overview, it really emphasises that the big weakness that needs addressing pretty quickly is central midfield. Once you get past Zabalazai, Baturina can play anywhere in midfield. And I mean, at 3 stars and only 29, probably is someone we're going to use. Locatelli, less likely to be using him going forward at 34 and very much looking like he's in decline. Although he's at 3.5, still at 3.5 stars of current ability. I don't really want to rely on him too much. I guess they'd be your midfield 3, and then there's not much in the way of depth behind them. This guy is more of an attacking midfielder, so that might lean us towards the 4-2-3-1 potentially. But yeah, we need a central midfielder. Let's just switch to the other tactic and have a look as well where we get our squad depth on there. So yeah, Zabalazai would just move forward, and then you'd go Baturina and Locatelli in midfield. So they're our midfield 3, not much depth behind them. Vlahovic as our striker, not much depth behind him. We're pretty solid defensively, and Diogo Costa is one of the best goalkeepers in the game. So although he's apparently only 3 stars, we know from Barcelona, Dennis Simon was only 3 stars and won FIFA World Goalkeeper of the Year. So goalkeepers seem to be measured by different criteria to players in other positions. Right, let's have a look at what the finances are like to see if we've walked into a mess. So there's a positive bank balance, which is nice. Decent, really decent transfer budget that can allow us to go out and fill those gaps that we've got, and huge wage budget to play with. We can't move any of that around. I think I've got to agree to stuff before we can move that around, but lots of flexibility in there, hopefully. And the club isn't even in debt. £73 million worth of debt, but that's nothing. That is, I mean, this is a Juventus who are in very healthy shape. We've actually got a projection that is increasing year on year, which is a huge rarity. They've passed FFP. There's no bribes or anything like that. No, sorry, what? There's nothing. Move on. But yeah, everything looks pretty solid off the pitch for this Juventus team. I think we just need to go out and come up with a plan. And I mean, the plan is probably going to involve going back and having a look at Barcelona, because we know before we left Barcelona, a lot of these transfer values were a lot lower than they should have been because of the financial mess that this club is in. So there are some really good players available for really generous prices. And I know you could be like, oh, Kev, don't just go and buy loads of Barcelona players. If I don't, someone else is going to. You've got Tottenham, Bayern Munich and Leipzig after Lazarov. You've got Arsenal and Liverpool after Aspas. You've got Arsenal and Liverpool after Sakuna. I mean, we're probably not going to be able to convince the likes of Pedri and Baldi to leave because they've been there forever. And some of these guys, some of the really high potential ones, are still on pretty high price range as well. But Sakuna's the best striker in Europe. He's your natural successor to Vlahovic, surely. 30 goals in 30 appearances for Barcelona, and he's done it in Serie A before as well. Because before he signed for us and did 16 in 17, he was playing for Napoli, where he got 12 from 16. So he's not only the best striker in Europe, he's also proven in the league that we're playing in. Sakuna, absolute no-brainer. If we can get him for 30 million, that is absolutely bonkers. And there's a few other absolute bargains in here as well. Obviously, we need midfielders, which is the one area we're probably going to struggle to prize anyone away from Barcelona. Gavi, Pedri, De Jong, these guys are lifers probably at Barcelona that we're not going to be able to drag away. But we don't need to just buy from Barcelona, but it would be rude not to just sample a little bit. And then, of course, there are going to be some players here at Juventus that we're going to be looking to move on in the near future as well. The likes of Alvarez is a big one that sticks out. Foyth at 34 and rubbish. Move on. Yeah, there's certainly a few. The homegrown situation is something that I probably need to look at. People have warned me about this. What are the homegrown rules? Where did we finish last year? Because top four get Champions League. We finished 6th. Oh my word! It's worse than I thought. Right, what is the EU rule? Here you go. Oh, there's lots of words here. That's not a good sign. If a club has 3 or more non-EU players in their squad on June the 30th of each season, 9 days' time, including those soon to be out of contract, they can only sign and register up to 2 new non-EU players to play in official matches the following season. Can only be signed without the need to... So basically, we can't really have much in the way of non-EU players. We've already got 2, and if we don't get them gone before the 30... So in the next 9 days... I mean, and we already know we want to keep Leone. If we don't get Alvarez gone, we can't replace him. Am I reading that right? Okay, this is going to involve some careful thought. I need to go away. Hold on. It's not June. It's July. It was 21 days. They're set in for the season now. We've got this job much later than I would have liked. Luckily, we've got a month before the Italian season starts and a big pile of cash to spend. I need to go and spend the big pile of cash and not balls up the EU registration thing. She doesn't even mention on here. Why have a rule and then not put it on here so I can stick to the rule? Oh, I'm going to make mistakes. I can see it coming now. Let's find out how many mistakes I make in tomorrow's video where we'll get the season. We start the season away at Milan. Easy peasy. Let me know down in the comments what you'd do with this squad and this budget and how your rebuild would go. But there's work to do here, that's for sure. Finishing 6th last year, not okay for a club with a squad looking as good as this one, especially because it's a team that won the league the year before and has never finished as low as 6th in the history of records going back 20 years. So no wonder they sacked the manager. Goodness me. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.